Have you ever heard of Shango, the mighty Yoruba God of thunder, lightning, and fire? His story is electrifying, full of power, passion, and a mystery that has fascinated people for centuries. Was he truly a divine being, an Orisha born from the heavens? Or was he a mortal king, a man so extraordinary that his life story transformed into legend? Today, we're diving deep into the heart of Yoruba mythology to uncover the truth behind Shango, the Thunder King. Let's start with the legend, the story told across generations. In this version, Shango is an Orisha, one of the divine spirits who walk among us. He is the son of Aganyu, the god of volcanoes, and Yemaja, the great mother, a goddess of the ocean. Imagine that lineage, fire and water coming together to create a force of nature. Shango is depicted as a powerful, handsome, and often hot-tempered deity. He wears red and white, colors that symbolize his fiery passion and his pure divine power. He's known for his double-headed axe, the Osh, which he hurls from the sky to create thunder and lightning. When you hear a clap of thunder, that's Shango making his presence known. He is justice, power, and raw, untamed energy. As an Orisha, he never truly dies. He is an eternal force, a fundamental part of the cosmos. But there's another side to this story, a historical account that paints a very different picture. This version tells of a man named Shango who was the fourth Alafin or king of the Oyo Empire in what is now modern-day Nigeria. This wasn't a god but a mortal ruler, and by all accounts he was a formidable one. King Shango was known for his military genius, his ambition, and his ruthless desire for power. He was a brilliant strategist who expanded the Oyo Empire, making it a force to be reckoned with. But he was also described as a tyrant, a man whose temper was as feared as any storm. He was a skilled magician, said to be able to breathe fire and smoke from his mouth and nostrils, a trick that terrified his enemies and even his own people. This wasn't divine power. It was clever illusion and psychological warfare. So how do we reconcile these two tales? A god of thunder and a mortal king. The historical narrative suggests that King Shango's reign was tumultuous. He was surrounded by powerful chiefs and even his own generals who were constantly challenging his authority. Two of his most famous generals were Timi and Gabanka. Legend says they were so powerful that Shango grew to fear them. He tried to get them to fight each other to the death, but his plans backfired. The pressure mounted, and the kingdom turned against him. Betrayed and overwhelmed, King Shango fled his capital city. The story ends in tragedy. Alone in the forest, filled with despair and regret, he took his own life. This is where the story takes a fascinating turn. After his death, a strange series of events unfolded, violent. Thunderstorms began to plague the city of Oyo. Lightning struck homes, fires broke out, and the people were terrified. They believed the heavens were angry, that the gods were punishing them for driving their king to his death. Shango's loyal followers saw an opportunity. They began to spread the word. Shango had not died. He had not taken his own life. Instead, he had ascended to the heavens to become the Orisha of thunder and lightning. The storms were not a curse, but a sign of his divine power. They proclaimed Oba. So, which means the king did not hang. This phrase became a powerful declaration of his divinity. This act of deification was a stroke of political and religious genius. It transformed a fallen, tyrannical king into an eternal god. It turned a story of shame and suicide into one of glorious ascension. The cult of Shango grew, and his worship spread far and wide. The historical man was forgotten, and the divine Orisha took his place in the hearts and minds of the people. The tools of his reign, his charisma, his fiery temper, his magical tricks were reinterpreted as divine attributes. His ability to breathe fire was no longer a trick, but a sign of his control over the element. His volatile personality became the unpredictable nature of a storm. The story of Shango then traveled across the Atlantic during the horrific era of the transatlantic slave trade. Enslaved Yoruba people carried their beliefs with them to the Americas, to places like Cuba, Brazil, and Haiti. In these new lands, their traditions had to adapt to survive. Shango was syncretized or blended with Catholic saints. In Cuban He became associated with Saint Barbara, a figure also linked with lightning and protection from storms. Through this process, Shango's worship not only survived but it thrived, taking on new forms and new meanings. He became a symbol of resistance, power, and cultural identity for millions of people in the African diaspora. So, was Shango a god or a man? The answer, beautifully, is both. He was a man whose life was so impactful, whose personality was so larger than life, that his story couldn't be contained by a mortal existence. He was a king whose legacy was so powerful that his people elevated him to the status of a god. The myth of the Orisha and the history of the Alafin are not two separate stories, but two sides of the same coin. They are interwoven threads in the rich tapestry of Yoruba culture. The story of Shango teaches us about the nature of power, the line between history and myth, and how legends are born from the lives of extraordinary individuals. It shows how a human being, through their actions and the stories told about them, can achieve a form of immortality, whether you see him as a divine Orisha hurling lightning from the sky or a brilliant, flawed king whose legacy thundered through history. Shango's story is a testament to the enduring power of belief. It reminds us that sometimes the most powerful gods are the ones we create ourselves, forged in the fire of human history and imagination. The man may be gone, but the thunder god reigns forever. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the world of Shango. If you enjoyed this exploration of mythology and history, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Let me know in the comments which mythological figure you'd like me to explore next. Until next time, stay curious.